Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Coffee with the Critters, where we live stream every Sunday morning at 9:30 a.m. Eastern. I have been in touch with a couple different people about coming on for interviews, and we will get those scheduled. We have a lot going on here, and as usual, I've got a lot to show you today. So it's important that I stay on track. For those that are new, my name is Laura Joseph, owner of the Animal Behavior Center. We are an international educational center where we teach people all over the world how to empower animals through the science of applied behavior analysis and positive reinforcement. In summary, we help you improve the quality of lives of animals through understanding the science of behavior known as applied behavior analysis. Um, and we help people understand how to modify those behaviors, how to interact with the animals using applied behavior analysis and positive reinforcement, and focus on enrichment, which is a topic of today, which enrichment is it's the foundation behind everything we do. So if you want to learn more about our services, you can find those on our website, theanimalbehaviorcenter.com. You can also contact me, which is Laura, Lara, at theanimalbehaviorcenter.com. So I apologize for the late start today, but I have a lot of photos to show you. So we got a lot of great feedback last week after our live stream, which was on is it really enrichment? Identifying when stimuli fall short. Um, so it was suggested that I do a follow up live stream showing people what to look for and understanding what they're looking at. So I went through just real quickly, not real quickly, it was real slowly, which is why I'm late, and pulled up some photos of different species of animals, um, what behaviors look like that cause those little red flags to go up. And you always hear me talk about little red flags. Good morning, everybody. And those little red flags are, what's that behavior? So I want to show you some examples of what I'm looking at. And those little red flags don't necessarily mean something's wrong. What I want to do is prevent those from turning into big red flags. So those little red flags are, what is this? And I'm going to keep an eye on this. And I fill out behavior assessments, write them out, and I will write out behavior modification forms to show if those little red flags start turning into more behavior concerns. We are now, instead of just keeping an eye on it, we are documenting to make sure it doesn't progress. So we even have some of the little red flags here with some of the animals we have at the Animal Behavior Center. There are education ambassadors. So let me show you. Okay. So let's start with I wanted to say also, some people don't understand what they're saying, what they're seeing. Let me tell you some common things I hear, like when animals pace. It's common for, and it's not common. It shouldn't be common, but it's more common to see some animals pace. Um, And one of those animals that are common to do repetitive behavior are bears. Like with polar bears, what I'm looking for is if they swim underwater and do a certain repetitive swim, such as going underwater, doing a backflip, touching a particular rock, swimming underwater, touching another rock, going back and doing the same thing all over again. It's those patterns that catch my eye and be like, we have some things here that need to be addressed. So after we rule out the medical, then we focus on putting behavior modification plans in place, which include enrichment, and training is part of that enrichment. One of the repetitive behaviors we have here at the Animal Behavior Center, and it's constantly on management, and it can be due to several different reasons, which is, and it's Rocky, our Moluccan cockatoo, does this flip in his cage. And a lot of times, certain vocalizations will be added into that. We do we have behavior modification plans in place, but it's on a management plan, because sometimes there's those cues that they start rising again, and it's those distant antecedents that are the little red flags. That is a communicator to me that something is missing here. We don't want this to turn, we don't want this going any further. Um, so, and one of the most concerning that I see is an animal that just sits or perches there and doesn't interact with its environment. Which is, could be enrichment, could be me, social interaction, apathy, lethargy is, that's not a little red flag to me. That is a huge red flag to me. Good morning, everybody. So let's go ahead and start with some of these photos. So I took this photo to show you a couple of different things. Some people may see this. This is Stan, our ambassador fish, that we brought in through our nonprofit, the Sam I Can Foundation. A lot of people will just see a fish swimming in the tank. Okay, let me tell you, my eyes have been opened, and I hope to open the eyes of others because a lot of times people think this is just what they do. I just want to stay on track with my notes because there's a couple key points I want to make sure I don't miss. It's just a fish swimming in a tank because that's just what they do. Through my training with Stan, it has opened my eyes on all he can do. And what I don't want to see anymore is just a fish swimming in a tank. So through his training, we have trained him to target, touching a target stick. Through that target training, it's more of a distant photo, but if you can see, he's swimming through a hoop. The training that I'm doing with him is opening my eyes to, we really need to bump up the enrichment here. Stan is deserves so much more than just swimming in a tank. Here is a photo of me targeting him to my hand, which is how I taught him to back up on cue. I believe that's oh, nope, this is my last photo. So it's my last photo with fish, but my point is, when we train them, for me, when I am training an animal, I am seeing their full potential. I'm probably not even seeing the full potential of what they can do, but what it shows to me is so much more I need to be doing with these animals, because they're capable of so much more. And I learn what they're capable of through training. And then, like I said, I am constantly raising that bar. To help show people, when we know better, we can do better. Never stop trying to do better. I never stop trying to do better. And why I showed this photo is because since our move, a lot of our animals haven't been trained or as regularly as they're used to, and they're missing that enrichment. And I'm seeing behavior issues start to arise as a result of it. I was just talking to Lindsay Douglas about it yesterday. I was like, we got to get back on track here. We're seeing some animals starting to be a little stressed due to their enclosures are full of all kinds of enrichment, but one thing that's missing is our training. And that proves to me how effective training using positive reinforcement and applied behavior analysis can be with these animals. And this is a photo I took from a training session I just had yesterday with Stan. Anticipatory behaviors. You'll understand what those look like when you start engaging through training. And what was really cool is I'm dropping in food because I want to make sure I am not negatively reinforcing his behavior of interacting with me through training, meaning um, I want to make sure he's training because he wants to. So I'm dropping in all kinds of food, and he's still sitting there waiting. And that tells me, okay, training. And the answer is yes, but that answer isn't answered until the training has started and he starts engaging. And then I'm like, yes, it's the training. This is a part of his enrichment. Um, so next I wanted to show, um, I'm not saying these are little red flags because this is a lemur resting, and this is what I'm looking at when I'm looking at any species of animal. I'm watching, and I'm like, okay, they're resting. What are they looking at? Um, and then I may walk away, and I'll come back an hour later. Okay, they're still resting. Little red flag. They're still laying in the same position. Um, and then come back an hour later. Are they still resting? This is the apathy, lethargy, um, not interacting in their environment or engaging with their environment. That this little red flag has now turned into a moderate red flag, probably getting ready to turn into a big red flag. I don't want it to be a big red flag. Lisa says, I think you need an octopus. Believe me, there's plenty of people that want me to have an octopus. Um, we've got to get some ducks in a row before we get there. So when an animal is resting, it just depends. It depends on their natural history. When they're resting more than what their natural history or research has shown that they do, then I start getting engaged. Um, and there's different things we can provide to them. I know with the lemurs, we had certain stations, different heights, so they could sunbathe. Um, this is a natural behavior they enjoy doing. Providing variety. I want to see them constantly engaged, or not constantly, but at their will and more matching what their natural history does or above. So I want to provide variety, and this is why we trained. And you can see those anticipatory behaviors. So these are the things I'm watching for. What are their natural behaviors? They jump far, they springboard far. Let's give them opportunity to do that. But I'm wanting to show you some of these photos because this with gators enjoy being warm, or and you'll often see them just hanging out on the banks in the water, or hanging out on the water at the water's edge. But you guys know, for the training that I have, the training I have showed before, they are capable of so much more. And somebody just recently told me this, and it made me so happy. Um, they're like, before I knew you and watched your training with gators, I didn't think much of alligators. But when you would go in and interact in their pen, what I saw was, well, what they were saying was anticipatory behaviors. And it looked as if those gators were wagging their tails for the opportunity for the training to start. You can provide all different types of enrichment. My history of working with gators, they were quick to respond when they knew enrichment was coming, whether that was individual tactile enrichment that I put in with them, or when I was training with them. I would put the hose on them every day. They would I want to say come alive. They are alive. They were just, now there's something for them to engage with, interact with. I would turn the hose on them daily. They would swim around. They would go underwater. They would come up. They would interact with the hose. You guys saw that with Bruce every time we filled his tank. And here he's eager to come out for the training to start with the target stick. You can get these animals jumping out of the water. Believe me, they will thank you when you provide this form of enrichment. Here they are coming up. This is where they would come up to just wait for the training to start. And then I would bring in different this is just a training session showing how eager they were to begin engaging. Let's see. Now we're going to say we did the fish, we did the lemur, and we're going to end with the birds. So I always tell people the more intelligent the animal, the harder it is to keep. What does keep mean? Keep means keeping healthy, keeping medical records, keep taking them to the vet, keeping them nutritionally sound to prevent health issues, which usually lead to behavior issues, which can lead to death with any species of animal. Keep means keeping them enriched, keeping them engaged, keeping them interacting, keeping records. So when we're talking about birds, this is a picture of a bird that I was called in that was starting to mutilate after months after little red flags had gone off. I wasn't there, so I wasn't aware. But when we lack enrichment, it can lead to behavior issues, which often turn into abnormal repetitive behaviors, which are, they're not functionless. They're usually coping mechanisms due to lack of enrichment or lack of medical or nutritional care or all the above. So this can be prevented. I'm showing a picture of an Amazon because so common in the parrot world, people call these animals perch potatoes. Amazons. No, they're not. Amazons fly up to 40 miles a day in the wild for numerous different reasons. So when we take a one way, if a natural behavior is taken away, it better be replaced with another one. If not, it'll be replaced and you're probably not going to like what you see. So speaking of Amazons, remember Sam, the blind Amazon who had both of his fully flighted blind Amazon who had both of his eyes removed. He is the reason we started our nonprofit, the Sam I Can Foundation. The minute we got here, boom, we opened up his cage door and we began, I mean, even before he got here, during my traveling, bringing him here, I was getting him out and engaging with him. Sam became very interactive with his environment, and it didn't stop there. We did more with Sam in 6 months than he probably had in his whole life. And that's not judging, pointing fingers. That may be because people don't know. People don't know what else to do. Well, that's what we're here to help you with. This is this is Rocky. I just took a picture of him a couple of days ago, taking a shower in his aviary. Being outside, bathing is a form of enrichment, but definitely not limited to. These are high energy animals. When you're working with a high energy animal, you better have behavior plans in place. So Barb sent these to me. She's a volunteer that makes the amazing enrichment. Um, and this is before and after photos of some of the enrichment she made. On the left, looks like this is on a stainless steel skewer. I wanted to show you some of the enrichment that we make. There are 4 stuffed pickleballs within that black plastic container. And this is a way we incorporate choice, control, and complexity into our enrichment. Good morning, Corey, over there at Rhode Island Parrot Rescue. Um, this is a way we incorporate shaping complexity, because the same old enrichment gets really boring and can lead to behavior issues. So the photo on the right is what it looked like 24 hours later. And I don't know which bird interacted with this. This is probably a Rico enrichment. On the left, she took two 2x6s and drilled them together, bore holes on each side, and making the animal work for whatever is behind those other enriched barriers, keeping the animal interactive. Because I remember one time I walked in, I told Barb, I showed her, I said, "See Rico on the ground?" And she's like, "Yeah." I said, "Let's make enrichment to keep him off of the ground." Because when Rico lacks enrichment, his nesting behaviors increase, and those nesting behaviors usually start with him going onto the ground. So those are little red flags. It becomes a big red flag when 24 hours goes by and that animal's still on the ground nesting. So she obviously did a very good job. I do want to point out that we can make too big of steps. We talk about this all the time in our memberships. When you take too big of steps in your shaping plans, and yes, we do shape complexity through all of our enrichment, it can actually positively punish the behavior of the animal engaging with that enrichment. So just those are little red flags to watch for too. When you're providing enrichment and you're increasing complexity, is the animal um, interacting with it? If it's abandoned it, especially after 24 hours and it hasn't interacted with, get it out, rework it. So be careful of making it too complex too fast. So here is Tim says, the very first time I watched Laura, she said, "If we know better, we do better." That's been over 6 years ago. My, how time flies. This is DC, who is one of the animals that is not with us now, that is being held off location since our move. He is one of a few animals that's not with us, that is being held until we make our next move. So on the left, it looks like a to-go container, and each animal is its own individual. That reminds me of something I wanted to say from my notes from last week. So why do animals not engage with enrichment? It can be for several different things, and I'm just going to touch on 5, which needs to be researched a lot more. Poorly designed enrichment, not aligned with the animal's natural history or needs, or what I say is individual enrichment. You cannot make one piece of enrichment for all lemurs. It has to be made on the individual lemur, on the individual animal. Lack of variety, which we talked about yesterday. Insufficient challenge, too easy, can positively punish the behavior of interacting with the enrichment. Social factors, stress, stress of the person taking care of it, the animal it can hear but can't see, the animal it can see, and misunderstanding of the species preferences, assuming what is enriching for one species works for all. Boy, I got a lot of notes. So let's see. So this is what it looked like an hour later. Oh, that's what it looked like an hour later on the right side. And this is a photo of DC right in the beginning of him getting ready to destroy the hell out of that piece of enrichment. So with that being said, I think I need to turn this into a webinar because I can go so much deeper. And I'm going to dive deep into this, into our advanced membership. So, a couple things I wanted to say. Um, in an upcoming episode, I think I'm going to have on how to assess and improve enrichment effectiveness. Let me know if that is something of interest. I also wanted to say next weekend we got something big happening. Um, and I also have a guest coming to town. So I may take an episode off. I might not. I might not be able to. So make sure you're on our email newsletter list, and I will make sure you have plenty of time to announce, so I can announce that. Um, so with that being said, if you've liked what you've seen here, take a look at our website, because October is packed with live drop-in classes on a lot of different topics. Um, you can find out more about what all we offer on our website. There you will find other services that we offer. And don't forget to pay attention to our nonprofit, the Sam I Can Foundation. It is about to blow up. Um, and you're going to see a lot more of these animals over there as well. And with that, I want to say thank you for attending, and I will see you guys very soon. Have a great weekend. I got to run because this is the weekend of this is the day of my GSD team. Anybody want to post what GSD means for us? Go ahead, but we got a lot of work to do, and we will fill you in. Take care, everybody.